All right, guys. Canada defeated Samoa 6-0 to FIFA U17's Women's World Cup. We'll have that as long as a recap of everything that happened on match day twos. Sit back, relax, because here we are talking about the things, guys. We're going to start off with the Canadian matchup and then talk about some of the more interesting things. I think there were some nice matchups that were coming in, especially when it came into some of the second day MD2s. But we'll talk about that here. So again, guys, welcome. We are the Africans. We do primarily Canadian African content. So this little buddy's still there. He's going to stay there, I guess. So leave a like, comment, subscribe. What have you liked? What has stood out to you? We have a better feel for what these teams are. And this kind of makes it a little bit clearer to take a look at what is coming in terms of teams preparing for that knockout rounds. We have teams who have qualified for it, but they don't have a spot as of yet. But let's get down to Canada versus Samoa. We were playing Samoans. Samoans. And you know what? If you're Samoan, let me know what you think. But I don't think you should feel as if they have not done your country proud here. They have defended well. They were just undone by some great shots, I think, in both games. Against France, Samoa, two extremely efficient, but just couldn't create that many more chances. Against Canada, couldn't really get much going offensively. Canada was very much dominant possession wise, but they defended well. I don't think you can be very much disappointed with what they showed if you're Samoan. And technically still alive. A win versus Nigeria in their last game could get them to the next round, which would be very massive for Samoa, especially for building up football in those areas. But let's talk about the game for Canada and kind of go from there. So we had matchup wise, this was the lineup. I know we're scrolling all over the place, but let's show you what the lineup was when it came to this game. So Canada lined up. We had different lineups they were showing. They had 3-5-2, they had 4-4-2s. But we have Marika Martino, Bridget Matipula, Emma Donnelly, and Amy Medley were your back line. You had Felicia Hanish, Olivia Chisholm, Daniela Ferreira Estrada, and Julia Amira. Up top, Melissa Kekic and Melina Alexis. Some people had this as a 4-2-3-1. Other people had this as a 3-5-2. We had it as a 4-4-2 to start off. But solid game. 6-0 is the game. You have goals coming in all the times of the day for them. But let's go over what happened. You have goals in the 14th minute and the 36th minute. Ferreira Estrada off of a free kick makes it 1-0. Olivia Chisholm wins the ball after a pass from Melina Alexis. She dribbles up, sets a beautiful shot top. That's not even the best goal of the day. Halftime, it's 2-0. We have a lot of substitutions, 4 substitutions to start the second half. Canada. Hurst keeping the team rotated and fresh. McLeod for Kekic. Lacey Kendall for Olivia Chisholm. Bridget Matipula out for Naomi Lofthouse. And then Chloe Taylor for Amy Medley. Lacey scores in the 54th minute. Marika Martineau scores in the 58th minute. Julia Amira scores in the 67th minute. I think that's a goal of the day. And then Melissa McLeod extorted her goal. It's an own goal by Mia Afoa. But I feel Alyssa was very much active in the second half. Let's talk about some of the stats of this game and what we saw. Coming from here, 6 goals for Canada again, 4 assists, well done, 43 attempts on goal, 16 on target. You'd want that cleaned up a little bit, but 16 on target for 6 goals, that's not terrible. That's trending in about 30 to 40% goal conversion. That's not too bad. Off target, 20-2. That was the key thing. I was worried with set pieces for Canada defending them because that's where we saw Samoa be very efficient. And they were able to string some passes, Samoa was, but just Canada was solid defensively. Shout out to those players as well. 8 fouls for Canada, 5 fouls for Samoa. Set pieces 11-2. Free kicks 5-8 overall. one own goal as it goes. I like what I saw from Canada in this game. I know we talked about Julia Amira before. She's turning into a, you know what? I'm gonna put a pin in her because she could be very interesting. Right now, she has 3 goals. I think second for Golden Boot in this competition. I will certainly be very excited to kind of see what she's able to do. But I think Canada played rather well. You can't really be too mad. My running joke was, look, they are destroying generational baggage that Canadians have with white kits. Even I'm wearing white now. I'm like, what? White kits? If you aren't familiar, we tend to never perform as well in the white kits, but the red ones, when we play red, we are strong. And so that joke aside, I think that's all you can really ask for from that side. And I think that starts to open up the possibilities, especially when you start to realize, okay, with their 6 points now, Canada have moved on to the next round. We don't know quite where they'll play, but they are in contention to still win their group, which will be good to keep an eye on, keep track of. But here's what we know in terms of Canada. I think going against the France matchup, I said this earlier. I felt as if France, Canada, and Nigeria were athletically about the same. Just the difference was coaching with them. And you kind of saw that in the France Nigeria matchup where it took a late winner for France to get by them. I wonder how Canada wants to approach their final game against France. Do they want to secure first place? They've rotated enough so they can do that. And of note, the round of 16 doesn't begin until the 28th of October. So they play on the 24th. Canada does. And then they'd have 4 days rest. No, they play on the 25th. So then they'd have 3 days rest. So it's not impossible for them to want to attack, guarantee their first spot, and then go from there. But I think if you're Canadian, you can't be disappointed with this. You were looking for a big win. They got the big win. They're still at the top of their group, and they have a chance to go through that game versus France. I wonder how both teams take it. Just for the record, and we'll use this to transition to what happened in the other groups. Group D currently, and this is important to note. Group D plays the third place of B, E, or F, and the runner-up plays the winner of Group E. And that's important because Group E, we'll scroll up here because we are professionals. Group E is the Spain Colombia matchup. So there is something to play for if you're Canada, because you don't want to face a team like Spain, who certainly put a solid performance against South Korea. 5-0 was their game. So runner up plays Spain. The winner is playing a third place side. And so for Canada's Group F, winning does matter. Group D, my apologies. Group D, winning the group matters because it's a different team that you're playing. So I think if you're Canada or France, you have to go out for that competition because that's who you end up playing. Let's talk about some of the other match day twos that have come through. We'll scroll through and talk about them. Costa Rica, the CONCACAF and me, they almost held out for the win versus Brazil, but Brazil ties in the 83rd minute, thus leaving them alive. 4 points for Brazil. Italy have moved on with their win over Morocco. This Costa Rica Morocco matchup, I know that they would love to have the host through, but I think Costa Rica might just be able to get it over the line, which means you could have another CONCACAF team moving through. In Group B, North Korea with pretty much, listen, the story for North Korea to me has been near post runs. That's how they got past Cameroon. Honestly, 2 near post runs, a header, and a quick shot on goal. They get by Cameroon 2-1 at the death. They have advanced, but then Group B is still alive. Cameroon is technically still alive. Mexico and the Netherlands have 3 points each. Cameroon have afforded themselves well. Their matchup versus Mexico could be very fascinating. because that I think the winner of that definitely makes it through. The African in me is hoping that it's Cameroon, but I think Mexico can get it done as well. Group C, the United States, the matchup that they had versus China, I didn't expect. At one point, it was 5-1. China scored early, as you can see, but then five consecutive goals. It's 5-1 and it ends 5-2. US are advancing. They're in Group C, and we'll try to go through everything as it comes to remind you where teams will play. And then Ecuador getting past Norway yesterday leaves Ecuador alive. Norway eliminated. They cannot make up the goal difference. And overall, China and Ecuador playing on the final match day will determine what happens in that group. We already talked about Group D, France versus Canada. You want to finish at the top of your group because the loser will more than likely face Spain. And for Canada or France, you want to try to avoid that right now. Also, interesting enough, Samoa and Nigeria are still alive. A win could keep them alive. We'll talk about the third place spots. Samoa would need a bigger win. Whoever wins this would have to have a 4-goal win. And I think the way this game is, I think Samoa defensively will keep it close. And so Nigeria may get a goal, and we'll have to hope other teams fall to bigger goal difference. But we talked about that Fadala in the 81st minute. It was coming. And again, both pretty much athletically there, but just a little bit more technical ability for France. Nigeria, their second, I'd say second straight women's U17 disappointment. Last year, they did fall to Nigeria in a round of in the quarterfinals, and Nigeria fell to the U.S. Sorry, in the quarterfinals, and they didn't look too convincing there. But we'll see. Spain, we talked about, are advancing. Spain already faced Colombia. They face South Korea. Now they simply have Ivory Coast to play. Ivory Coast and South Korea, because of their draw, are both still alive. And depending on the wins that they can get, their final matchups are Ivory Coast versus Spain and Colombia versus South Korea. That Colombia versus South Korea, I think, is not only for third place, but for second place. And so I think if South Korea wins that, they move up. I don't expect Spain to fall to Cote d'Ivoire, but we'll wait and see. In Group F, Japan and Paraguay have moved on, but Zambia and New Zealand are still alive. Again, they would need a large win, and thankfully, they play each other on the final match day. That's on the 25th. That's where it's going. We already saw Paraguay today turn the match around. We're down 1-0 to New Zealand, but then 4 straight goals, 4-1, and Japan over Zambia 2-0. Your third place matchup winners currently are the Netherlands, Ecuador, Costa Rica, and Cote d'Ivoire. But again, as we mentioned, Zambia and Nigeria, they are close due to the fact that just a win can vault them up if you get losses in the Costa Rica matchup and follows. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on as we look. Again, runners up in Group A play the runners up in Group C. Winners of Group D, like we said, Canada plays a third place side. Winners of Group B play a third place side. Winners of Group F play the runners up of Group E. We know the winners of Group E, which are more likely Spain, will be playing the runners up. The winner of Group E will be playing the runners up of Group D. So either France or Canada, something to keep an eye on. The runners up in the Group A. So basically, if you're winning the group, you are facing more than likely a third place side, the chances are. So you want to make sure you finish at the top of your game and where you are. Quick shout out. Not everything is updated, but we have some updates. Golden Boots leaders. Julia Gali with 4 goals. Carlota Chacon, if I said that wrong, I'm sorry, with 4. Julia Amira with 3. Ju Zini, Claudia Martinez, Naya Toure, Lauren Malsom, and Kim Won Sim, all on 3 goals. So still a lot to play for in this competition, guys. If you're watching, who has stood out to you? Who's looking great in that sense? I just read that out, didn't show a graphic. My apologies. But that is where everything sits in terms of where it goes. Final match days are the 25th and the 24th of October. So we have a break on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday are your final match days when they come through. Guys, if you haven't been following this, please follow it. You get to see this every year now, so it's going to be a regular occurrence. Then I guess my November and December are going to be nothing but U17s for the next 5 years. But a lot of good football, a lot of good sides. We get to see the future stars of tomorrow playing today. And I've really enjoyed it so far. So, guys, if you've been watching this, what have you enjoyed? Who has stood out to you? Shout out to the Canadians who are doing well, and some of the other dominant sides. But, guys, we will stop talking here. And as always, I want to know what you think. Let us know in the comments. And I'm going to stop.